a lovely Monday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We're grateful to have you back for another week of McFile shows. And what a way to start our Monday night smack off. Back home in McDonald North tonight. Grateful to have Miss Leslie Millwee back with us. It is always a pleasure to talk to this lady and my dear friend. Good to see you tonight. And thank you for joining us on a Monday. How are you?
You almost slipped and said young lady, and then you corrected yourself. So
well,
that's okay.
No, I was going to say young lady, and I know you caught that, and it was better to say that than old lady. I mean, you'd have killed me if I'd have said old lady, so...
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You're okay. So you are a lady of ladies. You're sweet to me. You're precious to me. You know how much I appreciate you, and it's always a pleasure.
Just giving you a hard time.
You're not the first that's ever given me a hard time. It's okay. I'm used to it around these parts these days. But anyway, the Astros playing a little better. Hopefully they're going to get in the playoffs this year. We're baseball fans, and we're, it's that time of the year. Football's about to start back up, and then we've got the playoffs coming up. And so it's going to be an interesting end of the year. In sports. Maybe we'll do a show one night. Maybe we'll get to the World Series and do that. But anyway, listen, I want to talk with you about a few things tonight. The big news today is we had a lot of European leaders over here. Zelensky came and saw President Trump. And I just want to get your take on what you believe is going to come of this. We've had several people on the show last week, and we had sort of a mixed bag of optimism. There are some people that believe that, Trump may get this worked out, but it's ultimately going to come down to the two parties of Russia and Ukraine. Leslie, it's sad. Over 1 million people have died in this conflict in 3 years. And the Finnish president today, I think, said what has been the elephant in the room, and we've all known it. And the media here would choke on a mule before they'd admit it, that had Joe Biden not been in office in 22, this war would have never happened. And she basically said today that there's been more progress made in the last 72 hours in this conflict than there has been since this started way back in the spring of 2022. And that's saying a lot.
I was very impressed that she said that. I expected that from the Italian, but I didn't expect it from her. And
good point.
Another point that I think, of course, the mainstream media never talks about, I believe Jesse Waters mentioned it tonight. It wasn't just the NATO countries. Do you know that 34 European countries came? And I mean, we look at them as insignificant. That there were leaders there. All of Europe was there.
All of Europe was there today.
Yeah. And we're not talking about that. Yes, NATO is important, but I think we need to understand the depth and the breadth that this is encompassing. That's one sign that I saw that I thought, we are going to make it. I think it's going to take time. I don't think it's going to be overnight. But to me, that said, we have a united continent, two continents that really want this peace, and we're going to, try to work through it. And also, it's a struggle. People talk about the power struggle between Trump and Putin and how Putin is, kicking his rear. I just have to laugh hysterically.
I laugh hysterically too. It's crazy. It's nothing but a lie. That's just stupidity on the part of the media and the left.
I heard some nincompoop, I think it was Nicole Wallace or one of them, maybe Margaret Brennan, talk about, they rolled out the red carpet for Putin. And I thought, was that while he was walking between the jets and after the B-2 was flying over?
No, thank you.
When exactly was that? Yeah. So just the negativity. And I think the saddest part of this is we are now at a point, which we've been here for 6 months, but Democrats are rooting for war and they're rooting against the American people. That's how bad they're deranged. And I find that tragic.
Couldn't have said it better. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was out there trashing him this weekend. Other Hollywood big types were claiming that he bowed to Putin. And Leslie, I've got a different take on Putin than most people do. Look, I had a long talk this weekend with my brother. He's retired military, and nobody is going to be courageous to say this publicly, and I know that there are going to be some disagreements on this. I do not blame Vladimir Putin totally for this war. I think the Ukrainian government was just as culpable. Yes, Russia attacked them. Yes, Russia has invaded Crimea. Yes, Putin's a thug. Yes, Russia is, they're technically still a communist nation. But I will tell you this, if I was a Christian tonight and you gave me a choice between living in Ukraine and Russia, you would have a better chance to exercise your faith in Russia. And there's a part of Putin that is trying to keep his country out of moral collapse. And he mocks the West for our values, how we have allowed our civilization to go downhill morally. People can say what they want to about Vladimir Putin. Look, he's not choir boy. He's not Mr. Rogers. I wouldn't trust him past the screen. But I do not blame him fully for this war. The Ukrainians knew good and well trying to join NATO was going to be viewed as an existential threat to the Russians. And not only that, but I know that there's a difference of opinion about those biolabs. There is still a part of me that wants to believe that Putin saw a threat in that region that caused him to act. He had a weak government. Granted, he wouldn't have done it had Trump been in office. I'll give anybody that argument. I'm not even going to go there. But I don't blame him for the aggression. I think they're both culpable, and they both have got to come to the table. Zelensky's not been a choir boy in this either. And that's what drives me insane with the media. That even I heard tonight, Hannity, Ari Fleischer, the former press secretary for Bush, and Hugh Hewitt, I didn't hear any negativity about Vladimir Zelensky. All I heard was negativity about we can't trust Putin. Bill O'Reilly out there, we can't trust Putin. We can't trust this. We can't trust that. Well, where in the you-know-what can we trust Zelensky? Because I had got news for the people that are screaming the highest about Putin. You've got two parties you can't trust. You can't trust either one of them.
Well, and this started in 2014. Lest we forget that Obama was the one that let them take over parts of Crimea and all of that. Everything was pretty stable during the Trump administration.
That is
correct. Then what happens when Biden gets in? Putin says, man, this is just too great of a gift to let go. I've got to do something now. I think the one thing that we can do to hurt Putin are tariffs and trade deals. And I think we've done a great job of, working with India to try to stop that oil and gas flow and all that. The economy in Russia is horrible right now. People are going hungry. Things are bad. And even though, Putin knows we know that, I think he's a warrior. He's a KGB guy. He is not going to back down. And you're right. What Zelensky pulled in February there at the Oval Office, shame on him.
Shame on him. And it's like people have got a short memory. They don't remember that. And he's extorted this country for billions of dollars, Leslie, that has probably went to nothing but furthering the corruption. And let me remind the media, of course, the media is never going to say this, that Hunter Biden should be in federal international prison. Interpol should have arrested him for his role in Burisma. What he did in Burisma and his daddy and with the money they got from that Ukrainian government, basically all that, I look at what we gave in aid during the Biden years to the Ukrainians was extortion money. It was nothing but blackmail money. They were blackmailing the Bidens and saying, hey, if you don't play ball with us, we're going to tell the world exactly what your little Hunter boy did in Burisma. And I look at that to this day as nothing but extortion. But the media just wipes that under the rug. They never even talk. They don't even hint that there was anything wrong with that.
Yeah. And the Zelensky part in that, I mean, you have to wonder what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know that we'll ever know that. But you're absolutely right. They were held prisoner by that. We know from the pardons and everything else, Biden will do anything to rescue Hunter. That's just the way it is. You can call it a dad's love or stupidity or cover your own rear, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is.
He was covering something, I can tell you what, because I guarantee you, if Zelensky ever talks, I got news that we're going to have about it's going to be the biggest National Enquirer. The National Enquirer will be they'll be trillionaires if they get the scoop on this one, because I can guarantee you there's some stuff that nobody wants. And I got a feeling that it doesn't just involve the Bidens, Leslie. I think it involves Pelosi. I think it involves the Clintons. I think it involves everybody in the Democrat Party had their hands in the Ukraine. But that's what frustrates me about the media take on this meeting. The only thing they could say about what happened this weekend in Anchorage was that we rolled out the red carpet to Vladimir Putin. Whoop-tee-ha-ha-do. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, that just shows you how little they have to complain about. If you can only reach into your bag and say, oh, he rolled out a red carpet, what does that say about them? They have nothing negative. I mean, there was really no downside to me to meet with Putin. He came to us. He came on our terms.
Yes, he did.
He came on our timeline. he now, is he somebody that likes to play chess and he's trying to move pieces around? Sure, of course. But I'll put my money on Trump any day.
I'll put
that.
And I'm going to put money on Trump. And I have to tell you, this is my opinion, and I'm sure there's differences of opinion out there about this tonight. I trust Putin more than I do Zelensky. If you had to ask me which one of the two players do I trust the best, I would put my money on Putin. Now, I may be proven embarrassingly wrong about that, but let me remind the folks that the night before they met in Anchorage, that Zelensky launched the biggest drone attack on Russia yet. So it's not like that they're offering peace. And I want to ask you this about Europe, because this makes this so intriguing today. I talked to James Akers tonight. He'll be with us later this week. And he made a statement to me on the phone tonight. He said, Chris, I believe President Trump is the only leader in the entire world that is serious about peace. He believes, like I do, that the Europeans are nothing but warmongers, and they would just as soon see this go up in smoke, and all this riffraff talk and all this crap that you heard coming out of the German chancellor's mouth. He is a joking loser. He is an absolute joke. England's leader is a joke. And
they're just
they don't want peace, Leslie, but Trump does. Trump is tired of the killing. We've got a president that cares about life. But these warmongers in D.C. and these warmongers in the European theater, I think secretly, they don't want this to end. Am I wrong?
No, and I think that was proven out in some of the comments today.
Yes.
I was amazed. I'm a big Walter Kern fan, and I was watching him on Bill Maher this past weekend with Molly Chung, whatever. Molly Chung Fast or whatever. She's a psycho lefter. But Walter Kern made a couple of points, and Maher followed up with this point that he really does think that Trump hates war and he values human life. And I think that is the greatest compliment he could have ever given Trump. And I think you have to include Steve Wyckoff in that, and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth. I mean, I think all of these guys behind the scenes are really working. But you're right. Why didn't Zelensky take... I mean, to me, I understand Putin more than I understand Zelensky. Is it really all about territory and 100%. Reuniting?
No, I think it's more than that, Leslie. I think that again, I think at some point, Zelensky and Putin both saw a weak president. Zelensky saw extortion. He saw dollar bills because we drained our U.S. economy. Can you imagine the amount of billions of dollars that could have been spent on this country? It could have been built. We could have built 16 walls to cover the southern border. We wouldn't have the homeless problem that we've got tonight. We wouldn't have the crime. You could have put that money in our police force. We could have built our military up. But no, we sent it to a pint-sized queer dictator. And pardon my express anger about this. It ticks me off to the core. The money that went to this pint-sized queer dictator. And all he does is lie, and he comes over here extorting us for money in February, and then we're supposed to act like that Putin is the great Satan and Zelensky's the great angel, and he's the one standing up to tyranny. When his own country, Leslie, they are basically censoring everybody that says a word over there. Now, Putin has got his problems. I don't want any of this to be taken by our audience tonight that Chris thinks Vladimir Putin is Jesus, because he's not. I don't trust Vladimir Putin, but I will tell you this. I think I'm with Trump on this. The killing needs to stop. And if you could get two people to the freaking table to stop the killing, you're going to have to make some deals. And, I even heard Lindsey Graham, warmonger Lindsey tonight. I mean, I think Lindsey's found Jesus. He told the Ukrainians tonight, you're going to have to give up territory. You're just going to have to give up territory. And his word to Trump was, you got to make sure the Russians don't do this again. I got news for Lindsey. You can't promise that because Trump ain't going to be here but another 3.5 years. And anybody's guess is what's going to happen over there. But I'll tell you what, if you get a leader after Trump that is as weak as Biden, the whole world's going to go up in smoke. It won't just be Russia, Ukraine, buddy.
I know. Well, that's the thing. We're on the edge of we're involved in a proxy war that could literally lead to World War III. And I think maybe there's only a handful of people that understand that, being in our administration, and maybe Hillary Clinton gets it. Were you a little surprised at the Nobel Peace mention by her?
I was not surprised, and I'll tell you why, because we call that kissing up down in the South. I think Hillary's backside is puckering up for the prison suit that she's about to wear. And I think that was her olive branch to Trump to say, please don't arrest me and put me in Gitmo and hang me from a noose for treason in my country, and don't put Bill in federal prison for the rest of his natural born life. And I think it was just all kissing up. I don't believe she believes that
Maybe
no more
so.
than I believe Chris McDonald's good looking and young tonight.
Well, after what she did in Benghazi and everything like that, and you are handsome, by the way, but after what she's done and how she looks at war, I found that really hard to buy. It surprised me, but I'm with you. I'm skeptical of anything that comes out of their mouth. I mean, let's be honest. But
I think she needed relevance, and I think she wanted, again, to do something, say something so wild that it would generate the news cycle that it did for 24 hours. Because, Leslie, me and you've talked about this both privately and publicly. The Clintons are old news in D.C. And It's just, even this Epstein stuff is losing steam. I know people are out there still losing sleep over it at night. Washington seems to lose sleep over it. And I will go on record that if there are leaders, if there are world leaders, if there are national leaders, if there are congressmen that was having sex with underage girls, they need to go to prison for the rest of their life. And I would even say some of them need to have the death penalty, because that's just how I believe about pedophilia. But I think that ultimately I look at this thing with Russia and Ukraine tonight and the Russiagate hoax stuff far more deeply than I even do the Epstein stuff. They may be ultimately connected. We may find out there's a connection. But I still believe that the Clintons are not as popular as they may think they are in their own minds. And that's always been their issue. They think they're more important than they are. And I think people are just got this Clinton, what do you call it? I think it's fatigue, Clinton fatigue. That's a perfect word. I just think people don't care anymore. And for Hillary to go out there and say something stupid on Jessica Tarlov's show, who's another one that people are just fatigued by on Fox, it didn't move my meter one way or the other. I still think she's a crook. I still think she needs to go to prison for what she did. The Russia hoax is on her table. I think that she deserves nothing, no sympathy from me. She's not getting a bit of sympathy. Bill's not. And this is the thing. All of these players, and we'll transition to the Russiagate stuff, because I ain't talked to you in a while since all these revelations have come out. Obama, Rice, Lynch, McCabe, Comey, Andrew Wiseman, Clapper, Brennan, all of them, cry me a river, play me a violin, play me whatever, because you're not getting any sympathy from me. I hope they bring the freaking universe down. Obama likely is the only one in that bunch that probably won't get jailed because he's got immunity thanks to the recent Supreme Court thing.
Case, yeah.
But I will tell you this, them others don't, and somebody's going to have to talk eventually. Now, if they all plead the fifth, then I indict them. I just go ahead and indict them. I say, okay, you ain't got to talk. I'll indict you. And let them go before a jury, because I will tell you what, they can't plead the fifth on the witness stand.
No.
They can't plead, because there will be witnesses and the government will present a case. I do believe, and I'll get your take on this, I believe there is sufficient evidence for a sedition case at the very least. Maybe not treason, because treason is foreign actors. But sedition and conspiracy and fraud and intent to defraud the American people. And I look at it almost as election interference, what they did in 2016.
It was.
That's my point. I believe there's plenty of evidence to indict all of them on every bit of that. And these FBI agents, they're even worse.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think for so long, especially conservatives thought and looked at it from the prism of it's mostly the Clintons, these people are evil. That is true, but it's not just the Clintons. It was every government agency was involved in the cover-up and all the top officials. And I think that should give us pause, and that should terrify us to think all of these players, all of them were involved. The CIA, the FBI, all of these players were involved in trying to bring down Trump. And if that doesn't give us pause, we need to go after those that, at minimum, Clapper and Brennan. It sounds like Brennan was the architect of most of this, with the blessing of Obama, I might add. And like you said, I think let's not even worry about Obama. We can't do a darn thing to him except we can soil his name, which should happen anyway. But let's bring all of these guys to the forefront. I don't really even care if they go to jail. I just want them to admit guilt and go down as the worst people on the planet. That's what I want.
Well, I'm with you. Bring him. I want them to see him on a witness stand with their hand in the air, having to tell the truth, and in fear of perjury. Because see, look, if you remember, Al Capone didn't go to jail for basically murdering half of Chicago. Al Capone, they brought him down on a tax charge. So I think that eventually the noose is going to, pardon the pun, is not going to necessarily be all this RICO stuff and all this things that they're trying to talk to him about and get the truth to. I think they're going to slip up. I do. I think some of them are going to get on that witness stand to hide and stuff, and they're going to mess up, Leslie. They're going to mess up. I mean, I will ask you this, and do you think, because we've seen this play before, we have seen this drama before, we've seen it with the people that you have a history with, the Clintons. We get to this point, we get excited on the right, we get thrilled that we've got all of this revelation. Sally Yates, the email came from her to shut the Clinton investigation down. Nothing was done to Sally Yates. Nothing was done to the IRS commissioner. I can't think of her name.
Lois Lerner.
Lois Lerner that weaponized the IRS against conservatives. Not a thing was done. Leslie Millway's opinion, 1 to 10. What's the chances that any of these people see justice on this side of the grave? Oh, for this Russiagate hoax.
Well, I'll have to preface this by saying, what is justice to you? And I think I just shared what I think I have realistic expectations.
That's a fair statement.
That, that they are going to be exposed for who they are and what they've done. I don't think there'll be prison involved. I would love that, but I'm also a realist. I think every one of them deserve punishment for all the bad things that they did against this country. As a citizen of this country, I want justice. What they did to me, what they did to my voting, God only knows what happened in 2020. We know things are hinky there. But God had a master plan. God put Trump in 2024 as the winner of the election
at the right time
to fix and to educate and to expose all of this evil in the world. I believe that with 100%.
And I don't think he would have been able to do that in 2020. I think he would have still been hamstruck. And I think that it had to happen the way it did, even though it caused great pain to the country for 4 years. And I think it was a wake-up call, even to the independent voters, that this is what you're going to get if you elect a left-wing loon bomb president like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I think they couldn't even stomach. I don't even think some people on the left could stomach Kamala Harris. And I mean, I just don't. And I think that this was the best case scenario, even though I'm with you. I believe 2020 was stolen. I do. I think they did some shenanigans, and I think this mail-in ballot, which brings me to my next question with you. You've got to be happy. I'm thrilled that I heard over the weekend that one of the things Vladimir Putin told Trump that the media sort of blew over, but it caught my attention. He told Trump, he said, number one, he said in that press conference, he said, I wouldn't have done this if you would have been in office. I mean, he admitted what Trump's been saying. He said, no, we wouldn't have destroyed Ukraine if you'd have been in office. But then he mentioned the election, and he told Trump, he said, the mail-in ballots is how they stole the election from you. And I heard today, I read a report, it was at the Gateway or Breitbart, that President Trump has basically told the DOJ that he wants to get the legal permission and the legal authority to make sure in 2026, which is next year, there are not going to be any mail-in ballots with the midterms. I couldn't say but hallelujah to that. I was dancing a jig.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there are people, because as you know, I work with a lot of elderly people,
right?
They are not able to get out, but it has to be checked. We can't send 60 ballots to a place that has 60 people living there and expect it to go right. It's going to have to be a proxy situation. If it's a mail-in vote, guess what? It should be tougher because we should have an election day. We should all get to take off work and every human being should go out and vote. If you choose not to, that's fine, but that's the way we should do it. I mean, I've always believed that. I think this early voting crap and all that, it's ridiculous.
Well,
it's out of control.
And the mail-in ballots have to be verified by ID. If they're going to do that, there has to be some kind of validation that this is an actual ballot before it's counted. And I don't know how all that's going to look and how that's to take place. This illegal voting has got to stop. This mail-in ballot's got to stop. This, as you said, voting after the election's over. The way I look at it, if you can't get your carcass up to the polls on Tuesday, the first Tuesday in November, well, la-ti-da. Cry me a river that you get to vote 6 days later. You don't get to vote. You don't get to pass go. You don't collect $200. I'm sorry.
No.
You didn't make an effort to get up there. You don't get a vote. You want to post-date your ballot 6 days after the fact? I'm sorry. We don't count that ballot. You just missed your chance to vote. That's elementary, my dear Watson. That's just elementary. Leslie?
I totally agree. I think that is one thing that Trump is really going to hammer home. I think that's so true. I think Putin and Trump, and I could be wrong, but just from things that Trump says, like the election, I believe that he and Putin converse, and I think they share information like that. Now, some people would say, gee, that's terrible. I personally think the more you know, the more you know. And so I don't disagree with that. I think you've got two world leaders. They're both nuclear super, powers. What's wrong with having conversations? It's just like the deal with North Korea as well and China. I'm sorry, we're all on the same earth. We have to learn to get along. And I will take Trump's negotiation skills over any of them any day of the week.
Yeah.
Thank God we have him.
Well, I'm with you 100% on that. I saw comment in the chat. I'll run it by you, and I disagree with it a little bit. I don't think we need military tribunals. I think this Justice Department under Pam Bondi is more than capable of handling this, because if you start making it military tribunals, you give them the show. You give the Democrats the show they're begging for. Let the Justice Department handle this, and that's just my opinion. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, as a jilted citizen that I feel I've been betrayed and lied to and manipulated, part of me says, yes, I understand that tribunal thing, and I do. But I think in the real world, you're right. Why would you give them that attention and that notoriety? Let's release these documents. Let's call out who is who and what they did, and then let's just start running indictments and prosecuting the heck out of them.
Prosecuting the heck. We can good. And I will say this, and I know, again, this is my opinion, and I think it's a legitimate one. You don't want the military involved in our day-to-day activities, Leslie, and you start involving the military in our legal process, it's going to open a can of worms, and people don't get that. They think it's just see, you can thank the Q movement for this crap, because they put this idea in the heads of the American people that military tribunals is like Winter Wonderland. It's like Cinderella. No, it ain't. Because what you're going to wind up happening, you're going to get somebody in office down the road that may not be Trump. And they're going to use the same theory, the same reasoning and tactic to come after people of faith. And they're going to use it to do things to people that are not threats to the country, but they deem threats to the country. Let the justice system play out. That's the best case scenario. Now, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And McDonald's got his cowboy hat on tonight, and
bell.
it's a Monday Night Smack show, so I can Monday Night Smack the way I want to. But that's just my opinion. And
well, you can't unring that bell once you go down that road. It's like them trying to get the 13 justices in, or even this gerrymandering. I mean, what's so ironic about that is how badly Illinois, Massachusetts, California, all of these eastern states, and I think it's basically 19 states that are blue that gerrymander, and Texas, which deserves 4 seats. You know, they can't have them. I mean, go ahead, let AOC and Bernie Sanders and Crockett, let them be the leader. We're going to win again and again and again. Let them be in charge.
And to Roger Hooker's statement about Roger saying the military is using to clean up D.C., the National Guard is there to assist the police. The police chief is still in power. I'm not a big fan. Trump has to do it. It's a situation because the police haven't done their jobs. But if the police was doing their jobs, you wouldn't have to have the National Guard. So that is I'm not going to say that's apples for apples, because the D.C. police, thanks to the mayor and the Dems.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Are we going to blame the police, or are we going to blame the leadership there?
We blame the leadership.
That's where it's coming
from. We blame the leadership, yes. But I think it's a slippery slope, Leslie. I do. I know that people think this is all romantic and, boy, we got the National Guard cleaning things up. Let me tell you this. Yeah, you do. But it's going to be used again in another way if we're not careful. And look, in a real world, like in a real world scenario where people are thinking sanely and thinking straight and not going crazy, the police do their job, and the bureaucrats tell the police. But because you've got a left-wing part of this country that believe in defunding the police and not letting the police do their job and arrest criminals and do the things they do, then Trump has just said, look, if you're not going to do it, I'll handle it. It's a federal issue is what it is. It's really not so much the military as much as it's federalizing D.C. and Trump taking over, and he has the right to use the National Guard to do that. Is that a naive view of mine, or is that what how do you feel about all that?
I agree with that. I think we were at a breaking point, and I believe that's probably the way Trump and the administration looked at it. Here we have one of the most grand cities in the world, and it's so dangerous that you can't go get a sandwich at night. I'm using the sandwich as a pun.
That's the truth.
So
that's the
what
truth.
Happens? But are the police there corrupt too because of where they are? I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of variables that we don't really know here that I have to assume Trump knows and his administration knows. To make that step, to me, that was a radical thing to do.
Yeah. Look, I agree with what he did. I'm not disagreeing with him sending the National Guard in. No, all I'm saying is that people need to back about a half step up and just take a deep breath and understand what's at stake. When you do this, it's almost like you said a while ago, you can't undo this once it's done. And it sets a precedent.
Read how that worked out. Yeah.
It sets a precedent. Now, one of the few other things for you. You heard about the illegal tonight that killed 3 innocent people, thanks to Gavin murdering Newsom is Trump. I'll use Trump's term. You used to live out there. Does it surprise you how ugly and toxic and dangerous California has become? Has it shocked you at all?
No, it was on the way. I left there in 2019, so I keep up with a lot of my friends because I was very involved out there in the politics, and I thank God was in the most conservative area, believe it or not. Palm Springs, not Palm Springs so much, but Palm Desert and some of the Coachella Valley and Riverside County is the most conservative in California. There are only a few pockets. So even though we were defeated horribly all the time, at least there were like minds. I think that place is so toxic right now. The crime, and it reminded me, I think what's happening there, I was in Baltimore the summer of 2016.
Right.
My son was very sick, almost died. He lived in Baltimore. I went there. I was there for a couple of months. And I'm telling you, that is one of the scariest places. I was walking one night. This was in the summer. I was walking at 8 o'clock. I had a fireman run out from a firehouse I was passing by, and he told me to get in. I was going to get raped or I was going to get killed. I needed to go and get back in my house right now. And that just jarred me. And I think that's where we're at with Washington, D.C. That's where I kind of put those two things together. I think it's really getting to that point. There's so many homeless. There's so much drug use. Marijuana has been legalized, and the whole place stinks. There's just so many bad things that have been allowed to happen. I think it's like, going over the top of that hill. You're on the downslide. You're not going to fix it anytime soon. And they're not going to elect Steve Hilton or any Republican.
You just answered my next question, but go ahead. Keep going.
No, that's all I was going to say.
No. I think you're right. And I love Steve Hilton. I think he's a good guy, but he don't have a prayer's chance, and we're winning. And I just don't know where they're going to go. I don't think they're going to go to Kamala. She ain't going to run. Who do you think's the next governor?
I do not know. I do not know what they have in their bullpen really out there. They're all a bunch of liberals that run things. I honestly don't know. I would have probably known 4 years ago because I was more in touch. But with Kamala bowing out, that says two things to me. First, she's going to stay in politics because she's not going to take a chance on being beaten again. Two, she's going to try to run again in 28.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Do you believe this Mandami Marxist Islamic jihadist is going to win in New York?
Only because the votes are going to be split. We're going to have another Bush, Clinton, Ross Perot situation where you're going to have a group of independents and people that are haters of Adams, and they do not like any Cuomo for what he did. I think he's going to win by default. I think you've got Sliwa, who I think I last saw he has like 19%. The others, I think Eric Adams is lowest, and then there was 25%, I believe, for the other guy. So we are talking about splitting a vote of about 40%. Mondami's at 44%. That could be the huge difference if he draws that much. It'll get down to voter turnout too.
Well,
and I'm disillusioned.
I'm hoping, and I think the Cuomo fatigue is sort of like the Clinton fatigue. I think the New Yorkers are just so tired of hearing the name Cuomo. And again, Eric Adams is no bag of jolly apples,
No.
And I'm with you. It scares me though, Leslie, because this is going to set a precedent. You got a guy in Minnesota that's in the same boat, running for Minneapolis mayor. He probably don't have as good a chance to win up there, but there's just something taking over these cities in our nation that's not good. And somebody posted the question, can Trump save Europe? I don't care about Trump saving Europe. Trump needs to worry about saving America right now, because I tell you what, our cities are in a mess, and we better be concerned about our own cities. I mean, look, Europe's gone. Yeah. I hate to tell folks tonight, Europe has been succumbed to the Islamic jihadism that is sweeping this globe. And, these signs were coming for many years. Many people warned Europe. They warned the people. People ignored it. And I think that there is some nations like Italy. Meloni is a great leader. I'm like you. I was shocked at the Finnish president today saying what she said. I don't think she's any big fan of Trump, but she admitted that there has been more progress. But if you look at the leadership of Europe right now, it is getting ready to tilt fully left. And I mean, I know that there are some good signs, but I think it's going to be like that when all the nations of the world, as we get in these end times, Leslie, there's going to be some pockets of conservatism, but there's going to be a lot of left-leaning jihadism too. And I think we better just come to grips with that. Is that a fair assessment of the landscape?
No, I totally agree, because everything goes back to being biblical. I
biblical.
think if you are a believer, you know that, I mean, it tells us in the Bible verbatim what's going to happen, and it's playing out now. And Islam is set to overtake Christianity, I think, in 2050. I mean, that sounds like an eternity away.
It's not.
That's 25 years. 25 years. And when you get all these radical religions, and I'm not saying all Muslims are radical, they are not. I know, and I deal with Muslim doctors and good people, and they are not all radical. We do not believe in the same God, and I pray for their souls, but they're not bad humans. But you have such radical ideology in that Islamic faith. There's no way that's going to end well. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think we have to save our cities that we can. We have to choose to live in conservative places like Georgia and Tennessee and Oklahoma and Texas and Utah and Iowa and Montana, Wyoming. You have to make choices like that. Florida, I can't forget Florida. We have to do that. And we have to keep our strongholds like in North Carolina. Some of these cities along the states along the East Coast, I think they're in jeopardy. I don't think that, I'm not worried about our little Bible Belt and pocket, but look at Kansas. They elected Cory Bush.
I know. Well, that's the other thing. I'm thinking of Texas tonight, the Rio Grande Valley down there, Austin, the Dallas here, putting Jasmine Crockett in power. Let's look, what's wrong with these people? Look, we can blame. We can roll our eyes and gasp and choke and get ugly and mad and mean at what these congressional people say, but the only people we need to be gasping at and choking over and getting mad at is the mirror. We elected them.
Right. I was going to say,
we elected them.
Stand up and work and do your part. I mean, voting obviously is the most powerful tool we have against these people. I think in the New York situation, I know it will be hard for all the egos, but Sliwa, Adams, and Cuomo need to get together and form a coalition.
They do.
And one of them
totally
needs
agree.
to run against him.
I couldn't agree more.
That's the only way to save them. Only way.
And I don't see anybody. It's already August. You've got 3 months. I think it would be impossible for anybody to step in on the Republican side and garner the support and money that they would need to take him on. But have you been shocked at some of the Democrat leaders embracing this guy? This kid, guys, is radical. He makes Bernie Sanders look like Ronald Reagan, buddy.
It blows me away. And, you know, you and I have talked about this many times before. God love them for rallying against their own. You know, they don't eat their own. They rally. They may not believe it. I'm blown away. The Nancy Pelosi's and Maxine Waters, not so shocked. Eric, you know, I won't even dignify him. The Swalwell, all those guys. I'm not really surprised, but I think there's a pretty big group that hasn't really endorsed him yet. What do you think about that?
I think it is window dressing. I think they know it's political suicide, and I'll tell you why. New York City, even though it's the biggest city in America, his politics plays well to that liberal base because, look, I've had several dozen people tell me through the years since I started this show that New York is a red state. It may not look like it, it may not seem like it to the world, but New York City is the rudder of the ship. And New York City is a blue stronghold that is so because the population, what is it, 2 million, 3 million people live there? I don't know how many population is. But they control, the politics of New York City control the state of New York. And I think that these Democrat leaders know if they go hand in hand and arm with this jihadist leader, it may win him New York City. But I tell you what's going to happen. The Republicans are going to be running ads like you know what over the next 18 months. And they're going to show these Democrat congressmen that are up for re-election hand in hand. He's not just a socialist, Leslie. He's not even a socialist, my friend. He's an Islamic jihadist Marxist.
I know.
This guy is Islamic jihadist. He calls, he's literally saying tonight, there's a video we're going to play. He says that crime is an artificial thing. In other words, that the only crime that's being committed are by the DAs that are putting people in jail, and he's going to remove the artificial wax off the crime thing. That's basically saying that all you criminals out there can rape, murder, maim, steal, kill, and it's just artificial intelligence. It's just a figment of our imagination, so we need to give you a pass. And I want the New York City people to see, and maybe, and I know that we had, who did we have on the air the other night? They were talking about New York City, and, we had Mike Simonelli, a former police detective. He said, in a way, he was hoping that it would happen because New Yorkers need to get a little taste of what they're voting for. And I've had mixed opinion about that. I don't want to wish anything bad, but Leslie, it's like a child sticking their hand on a stove. Eventually, if the child ain't going to quit sticking his hand on the stove, let him get burned and see how it feels. And I think that these Democrats know that this may play well in New York City, but it ain't going to play well down here in the South, the West, the Midwest, and even in the Northeast. I don't think his appeal is outside of New York City myself.
I know. And, he's not a rocket scientist.
He's not a rocket scientist. No, he's not.
I listen to him talk, and to me, he seems so immature and so gung-ho on his own ideology. I can't believe people can't see that. I think that shocks me more than anything. And, of course, AOC getting on board with him and that, and Bernie Sanders, that kind of thing. We know they're socialists. I mean, we know it. They have been. But this guy is a new level. But we can only hope. I hope he doesn't fail, but he will because he is what he is.
Do you think that he will actually go through with these extreme views once he gets into office? I know he's talked a lot of crap and trash. Do you think that it's all talk, that once he gets into office, there'll be people around him that may talk some sense into him? Or do you think this guy's going to follow through with this stuff? Because this is some weird, dangerous stuff that he's proposing, my friend. I mean, it's it's deep and dark.
Well, you can't do what he wants to do. It's not possible to turn that around like that. You can't let all the police officers go and send social workers. You don't have the manpower and the staff to do that. And the grocery store thing. The grocery store, on average, makes a 1% to 2% profit margin after everything is sold, said and done. Where does he plan to get all of this funding for these pretend commune type grocery stores? It's not possible.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
So if you think of it along those lines, my reasonable self says it's not humanly possible. But I never thought people would endorse him and get behind him either. So maybe I'm the one that's naive. I think he has ideas of grandeur. Whether he can pull it off is the question. But look what de Blasio did to the city.
I was thinking of Bill de Blasio, and he endorsed him right off the bat, and that should tell you birds of a feather flock together. He was nothing but a rank communist either. And you would have thought, Leslie, if you think about this, look, I have no bone in this fight. I don't live in New York City, but I've got a lot of dear friends up there. We got a lot of listeners that listen to this show from New York City. We've got a lot of guests that come to us from New York. And I don't want to see bad things happen to that region of the country. I don't.
Me either.
But you would have thought, after the debacle of Bill de Blasio and the crap that man tried to do to that city, that New Yorkers would have learned a lesson is what happens to you when you elect a communist. And it's like it is insanity happening again. That they've got somebody 10 times worse than Blasio, and they're embracing him.
Well, and I used to love to go to New York City. I haven't been since 2018 or 19. I used to love to go every couple of years, see a show, hang out, eat great food, go to Rockefeller Center, blah, blah. I would not go there for anything. I think it is probably one of the most unsafe places, and I learned my lesson about Baltimore. I mean, I was really lucky. Because I was naive walking around by myself and being by myself. And I look at what devastation. If he does 1/10 of what he says he's going to do, then it's going to take 10 years to clean that city up and turn it around. So I'm kind of heartbroken for the people. I'm like,
I am too. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them make this mistake. But it just seems like it's inevitable. I mean, I've been listening to the Fox people, and they're in New York, and it's no matter how much radical stuff they find on him, his numbers go up. The more radical stuff that surfaces, stuff that he says, his poll numbers go up, not down. Go figure.
You know why?
Go figure.
Well, they're not listening to Fox News. These
That's
are the
true.
people that listen to MSNBC and CNN. And now we have a new network. I guess they finally approved the sale for MSNBC. It's now going to be called MS. Did you hear that?
I would say what that means, but it's more something that starts with an S. But this is a family show, even though it's Monday Night Smack. Let's just say the word MS. I don't want to say what I was about to say, but yeah, it's going to be MS, all right. It's what it's going to be. Yeah.
Oh my God! But they said, don't worry, your same favorite personalities and commentators are still with us. And I'm like thinking, what in the world? Who is silently clapping their hands for that? No one.
No one.
I mean, if they didn't have Rachel Maddow, they would have nothing. And CNN's totally in the tank. And
yeah. Well,
look,
I think that far be it from me to tell the mainstream media what to do. Let them destroy themselves. I think herpes is more popular than these media types, and I think that look, we don't have a big audience here. We don't. But I would like to almost put our ratings on the McFiles up against CNN some nights and the MSNBC because honestly, I think people have turned the mainstream media off, and I think that on a given night, I think a lot of it is the only people that watch MSNBC. I hate to say it, are conservatives who take news clips of their insanity, and they go out and they share it on X. But as far as people listening to them to get truth from, I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. If they get any viewership, it's conservatives trying to laugh at them and mock them. That's what they've turned into. They've turned into a laughingstock. And Fox ain't no better, Leslie. I have to tell you, Fox is not much better. They do it differently, but they're just controlled opposition to me.
Well, you know what? I've gotten to the point in my life where I am getting most of my information from podcasts, people that I trust. I may not agree with them completely. I'm talking about the Michael Schellenbergers, the Glenn Greenwalds, the Megyn Kellys, Tucker, which I don't usually agree with him on some things. I think he can be radical, but I'll listen because he's smart. That's where I get my news now. I'm not getting it exclusively from Fox.
Yeah, I think the social media platforms have gone a long way in keeping us informed. And do you think, we got about 5 to 10 minutes here, do you think the country has shifted back center right? I think there was a period of time there that we had gone maybe center left a little bit, but it seems that there's been a shift in the air. And I know that Trump has had a lot to do with that, not everything. But do you believe we're shifting center right, or is this just a pause and we are still on this downward slide back to the left and we're about to lose our freedoms? 250 years celebration coming up next year.
I know. Well, I think it's twofold. I think, yes, Trump has made a difference, but I think people like you and I, you, me, and everybody else, we are so sick of the woke crap. We people, and I know people that are not political, and they really are not involved in day-to-day politics like you and I make it our life. I'm telling you, these people have had it. They've had it with having their kids manipulated at school. They're tired of hearing all the hate and the transgender, and you better do this, and you better honor LGBTQ, and you better let them have a bathroom and be on the Minnesota Vikings cheerleading team. People are fed up.
I was just about to ask you about that because we're sports fans. Is that not hideous what they've done up there? It is absolutely perverse what they've done.
That I watched a little clip from that, and it's like picking a scab. I could not stop watching those two boys prancing, and I thought Tim Waltz is probably there cheering you on.
They look like him.
That's who he is. Oh my God! I mean, it's just mortifying. It's like, am I really in the U.S.? I mean, what have we become that we're doing that? That we accept that.
And that's why I'm saying, look, I think there's some good things going on in our government tonight, and I'll just ask you this question, then I'll make my comment. Are you, I know we talked about a month ago, and I'm trying to get you on once a month now, and if not sooner, because you're such a wonderful, you are. No, you're a guest, and I want you to keep coming on the regular like you've been doing. But I do want to ask you: are you still giving the cabinet a pretty good grade? Are you pretty happy with what you're seeing out of Trump's cabinet? I heard that Dan Bongino had somebody come on today to sort of sit with him, and my buddy James R. put something out there tonight. He said when they start giving you a title of a co-director with you, that means that the one that you're co-ing with is about to be gone. And I'm wondering if Dan Bongino's going out the door. I mean, it's sort of interesting. But what's your thoughts on the whole cabinet in general? Any disappointments? Any surprises?
Well, I think Bongino is such a hothead. I think he's brilliant and a genius, and I love him, and I love that he's in that spot. I think he was very upset with the Pam Bondi way of handling the Epstein things, and I think that's festered. I would not be surprised if he left. I just think he's kind of one of those people, that Italian kind of thing. When I'm fed up, and I'm out of here. I don't think he is calm like, I'll even say, Kash Patel. And I think Marco Rubio, wow, I've been so impressed with him. I
have too.
I'm in awe of his calmness and his demeanor. And I'll tell you, there for a while, I was really frustrated when he was making deals with McCain and all that group. And I had some real disappointments in him at one time, and I think he has so risen to the occasion. I was kind of frustrated with Pam Bondi for a while, but, I feel like there has to be some grace for making a boo-boo the first couple of months, and then you learn from it and you move on.
I agree. Totally agree.
You do it again? Yeah. But I think as people, as much as they talk smack about Trump, I think he is a forgiving. If you ask for forgiveness, I think he is generous with that, and he knows people make mistakes. I've been really happy with anyone. I can't think of anyone. I think Steve Wyckoff's been a great addition. He's been, I think, surprisingly, he's been behind the scenes more than I expected. I think he's a very integral part. And I don't have a problem with that if he's getting things done.
I'm with you. I want us to do maybe a show in the next week or two, and I want you to come back. We haven't talked about Israel in a long time. I was planning on doing that tonight, but we're going to do it maybe tomorrow night or this week. But I have to tell you my surprise, and it may shock you, is RFK Jr. Of all the cabinet members that had the most to lose and that took the most heat for doing the right thing by the country, has been RFK Jr. And I will tell you,
amazing.
I have got the deepest respect for his wife. She has stood with him, and she has basically told Hollywood to kiss off, and she has stood by her husband, and she's not a Trump fan. She'll be the first to tell you, can't stand Trump. But when Robert F. Kennedy took the job, she has kept her statements and any kind of anti-Trump feelings to herself, and she has supported the country, supported him. I respect them both for that. And I have been pleasantly, shockingly surprised how much of a team player he's been. And you know something? He's gained my respect. I probably wouldn't agree with 6 things, 5 things, 3 things, 2 things that me and RFK would see eye to eye on politically. But in this case, he's got my utmost respect. And I think he's done one heck of a job with making America healthy again. And that's what I know.
Yeah.
People may not agree with that. And again, I have no qualms with people saying, well, feels this about abortion, he feels this about that. Folks, I don't agree with him on abortion. I don't agree with him on anything else. But him doing the right thing for the country, and I think we on the right need to learn a few lessons about this, that if we're going to do what's right for the country, it's going to take both sides of the aisle to do it, Leslie. We can't
Absolutely.
keep depending on just one side. Look, if there's somebody on that side, Fetterman, I'm thinking of John Fetterman tonight. John Fetterman's the same situation. I may not agree with 6 things that John Fetterman would believe, but I respect him for standing up and doing what's right by America. I respect that.
I agree.
And again, it's fine. I don't have to agree with them to respect them for doing what's right. Correct?
Well, it goes back to common ground. Absolutely. Because even if you disagree with 90 things, there's 10% that's really righteous and good that encompasses good for America on both sides. Why can we not find that? Tulsi Gabbard's the same way.
Tulsi Gabbard's the same way. Thank you.
You know, she has just been brilliant. I am happy to say, and I think you definitely fall into this category by your comments, I think as conservatives, and we are both very conservative, we need to understand that there are people on the other side that have a similar likeness for wanting America to be great. John Fetterman is one of those people. There aren't a lot of them. There aren't many of them at all. But I'll tell you what, we need to open our eyes and find the ones that are and work with them.
Yeah, I think you have a absolute perfect assessment of the cabinet. And I will add something to what you said a while ago. I think we all need to not expect perfection compared to the cabinet we had. Okay, this is like the Newt Rockney, Vince Lombardi Super Bowl teams of the 60s and 70s compared to what we had. And all these gripers and complainers, and I swear it drives me nuts. We have just come out of the 4 worst years of this country's history with the people
That's
over
right.
it. And people will nitpick and complain and act like petulant children over the most pettiest of things and not even pause to be thankful for what we got tonight. I don't expect any of these people to be perfect, Leslie. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes even after the one boo-boo. They're going to make more than one.
Right.
But I'm with you. I think we've got a leader that understands that. The media don't understand it, and the media is salivating for anything they can get a hold of, and many people on the right are salivating because there's just people that are like that. I don't like folks like that.
Well,
I believe
we got a good cabinet. To be common sense, and I think he's done with RFK, with Tulsi. There's a few people that are really lean right. I think you could say Hegseth is a real right leaner, Marco Rubio more so now than even 10 years ago. And then you have kind of middle of the road independent thinkers, and we better recognize those and use them to get more people. I think some of the independents we may have lost. I don't know how many. You don't know all this propaganda that NBC and Margaret Brennan and all these idiots put out. But, I think we have to continue to win over the independents. That's going to be a huge thing, too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big thing in 26, and it's going to be an even bigger thing in 28. And I think Trump is smart enough to know that there's no guarantee for 26. Yes, they look like idiots 1 year away, but there's no guarantees. That can change on a dime. Look what happened with COVID.
Well, look what happened with COVID, and also the fact that, I don't know if you remember this, I think you were with us one night, and you stayed with us during the midterms of 2022, and, it was either 22 or 2018 that everybody was predicting this red wave, and it didn't materialize, Leslie, because everybody thought it was a shoo-in, and it didn't happen. We thought because Biden was so bad that the Republicans were going to take back everything. They only got the House by a very slim majority, and I'm telling you, it's really, we need to understand that we are in a war for this country. We are just in a spiritual war. It's bottom line, and all hands are on deck right now. And we got to go vote. We cannot take anything for granted. And you New Yorkers, all I can tell y'all, go vote. Get out there, and you Republicans, conservatives, independents, you got the votes to knock this guy out of the race if you can get out there and vote. I don't know who you're going to vote for. If you'll put my name down, if you want to, vote for McDonald, McDonald will actually become a Yankee. I will don a Yankee uniform. I will literally come up there. I'll even wear a Mets hat and a Yankees hat at the same time. And I will renounce my allegiance to the Atlanta Braves, at least for a year or two. But I will come and run for mayor myself. If I should start tonight. I should start an online campaign. I would wonder what would happen. Because I wouldn't last but one press conference, my friend. You disown me.
No, I mean, it gets back to those choices, too. They have such horrible choices, don't they?
Well, I'm not saying McDonald would be a better choice, but it's better than a Marxist socialist Islamic jihadist running the state for city, for God's sake. Come on.
Oh, and
but
he's
anyway,
gonna take down Trump and not let him in. Oh, yeah. I'm just laughing my butt off.
Well, listen, we got a lot more to talk about. I kept you 45 minutes, 15 minutes over. But listen, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Please come back next week or the week after if you can, because I got a lot more to talk to you about Israel and things. Thank you so much. Bless you, friend.
You're welcome.
See you soon.
For having me. Okay.
Always.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Leslie Millwee, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Lord help us. We got about 15 minutes to go. I'll have to pick some of this up tomorrow night. I'm going to make this quick because I do want to take some of your comments. This is Maloney today. This is Maloney during the German Chancellor's attempt to lecture Trump about the world. Give me a break.
To work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire.
It's amazing. Let's don't put pressure on the Ukrainians. No, Trump, you just put pressure on Russians. Germany, you're a joke. And Maloney even knows it. Your neighbor knows it. I know it. The world knows it. That's the Prime Minister of Italy, by the way. Good lady. Good conservative lady.
From the beginning of the serious negotiations, from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see.
Wouldn't you like those little dots to appear over her head just to see what she's thinking right there? I can almost imagine what she's thinking.
A ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president.
That's exactly right. And that's what Hugh Hewitt said tonight. I didn't agree with Ari Fleischer. He said he don't believe Trump should even be in the meeting. I disagree with that. No, they need to have a mediator in that meeting. Marco Rubio, somebody from our government needs to be sitting in that meeting, because there's no love lost between Vladimir and Zelensky. I mean, it just ain't. And but I think Trump said it right. They got to work this out. Russia and Ukraine have got to work this out. We can't force the settlement on them. But she saw the stupidity of that. By the way, we meant to go for an update tonight. Hurricane Erin has been sort of lost in the headlines because of all this stuff going on in D.C. tonight. That's her down there in the Southeast Caribbean. And I was going to give an update earlier tonight, but we had Leslie, and didn't she do a good job? Put some fire in that house for her. I tell you what, she is great, isn't she? But this thing is going to be going this way. It's not going to affect the mainland of the United States directly. It's going to stay well off the coast. However, this little area of the country right here, and I had a video that I thought we had downloaded, but we didn't. But there is going to be tremendous swells along that Atlantic coast, basically from the Delmarva area of Virginia all the way down, I would say, to South Carolina. I heard one report today from the Weather Channel that anywhere from 30 to 40-foot waves are possible tomorrow and Wednesday. So, Chrissy the weatherman is advising, if you're on that it's not a good day for the beach. I'll just leave it at that. Give it a couple of days. That can kill you. Those are rip currents that will kill you if you get in them. I'm telling you, this is not good. That's the only danger that I see that the coast of the United States is going to face from this thing. Folks, this is a monster. This is a hurricane, a level 5, category 5 storm. We have been very fortunate this thing did not come any closer. I heard one one weather person say last night that the air currents have caused it to go this way. Well, as I told the Bible students this morning, I'm going to give the one that controls the weather currents the credit, and God has spared us this 5 storm. I will tell you this, and this is a 2 weeks heads out, and we'll watch this develop. We don't have any storms that has developed yet, but the models are indicating there's going to be another hurricane that's going to form out in this part of the Atlantic. And this one, though, the steering currents above are going to lessen that caused Erin to go this way. Those steering currents are going to lessen in intensity. And this second storm is going to take more of a southern track. And this whole area of the country, right through here, not this weekend, but the following week, we may be looking at a coastal landing storm. It will be the first storm to hit the U.S. directly this year. Now, the intensity, the actual path, we have no idea. This is just based upon models. And but if you were on the Gulf Coast, just giving you a heads up tonight that 2 weeks out, not this weekend, but the next weekend, you could very possibly be dealing with a hurricane in the Gulf. And that would... all bets are off when they get in the Gulf. These things can go anywhere. But just a thought, just heads up, could hit Florida and then head that way. I don't know, but we'll see. We're just grateful that this monster right here, Erin, is a monster. She is a monster. Category 5 over close to 265 mile an hour sustained winds right now. That would have, can you just imagine that coming through Miami or... I mean, even if and look, should there be any deviation, now the Bahamas are out here. If you got friends in the Bahamas, and I do, I would be very getting prepared because this is the track tomorrow, and it will be approaching the Bahamas tomorrow night in full and Wednesday morning. And so there's going to be a lot of things to concern yourself with. It just missed the islands down here. It just went north of Cuba. But that's the latest we have on Erin tonight. But there are more storms coming. It is hurricane season. This is nothing unusual. It's hurricane season. We've been very fortunate, to be frank with you. We've not had a hurricane hit the U.S. yet, not directly. There's been some close calls. We're at the E storm, so A, B, C, D, E. There's been 5 named storms. None of them have hit us in the Atlantic, at least. There's been a couple of Pacific storms that have skirted Mexico. But just be heads up, a couple of weeks on the Gulf Coast down there. We didn't have a chance to talk about this story tonight, but we're going to more tomorrow. This is a hideous situation. I'm very upset and mad, and I think Gavin Newsom has blood on his hands tonight, but he will never admit this. This guy right here, I'll let you watch it. He made an illegal U-turn, killed 3 innocent people today. Here's the Fox News story that sort of gives you a summary of what happened there, and we're going to call it a night. I've got so much more to talk about, but we're out of time tonight. Here is Fox
Authorities
News.
have identified the truck driver as 28-year-old Harjinder Singh. They say he was an Indian national. He faces 3 counts of vehicular homicide stemming from that fatal crash on Florida's Turnpike. It happened on Tuesday. Florida authorities say the 28-year-old trucker was making an illegal U-turn, crossing the median using an area that was designated for official use only. You can see a minivan behind him slamming into the trailer, crushed underneath, fatally injuring 3 Florida residents who were riding inside. 2 died at the scene, a 3rd died at the hospital. State troopers issued an ICE detainer for the truck driver after learning he was an illegal migrant.
And what happened there, we'll talk about this more tomorrow night. California gave him an illegal driver's license. Give him an illegal driver's license. And that is sad to hear tonight. That is sad to hear tonight. Listen, we're grateful that you're here tonight with us. If you got a question or a comment, we'll take your questions now. Deborah says our Attorney General Andrew Bailey is being appointed co-deputy director of the FBI. We heard that. That's what we were just talking about, Deborah, earlier. So, yes, we're very aware of that. That's Pam Bondi's decision, and we wish him the best. We wish him the best. Let's see. Chris Davis says if that Muslim extremist communist wins in New York, the New Yorkers will learn a lesson that they can't take back or change. Chris, that is exactly right. I mean, that's sad. She says when it comes to the New Yorkers who are trying to vote the communist Muslim in, I don't feel sorry for someone who gets what they asked for and they're asking for a disaster. Chris, I understand your sentiments, but I have to tell you, I've got a little bit more sympathy. I understand he's got the appeal. This is what's scary. He's got the young people. And that young people voting block is the voting block that's carrying a lot of these numbers. Now, whether those young people actually show up on election day remains to be seen. But it's not just the younger people, it's the older people too. There's a lot of money behind him. The Soros money's behind him. AOC's behind him. Bernie's behind him. Elizabeth Warren's behind him. And whether we want to admit it or not, they've got a lot of pull and they've got a lot of influence in liberal New York City. Again, New York City is the liberal hub of the nation, to be frank with you. It's a mayor's office. Now, I'm a little bit more sympathetic. I don't want New York to have to pay this price. I don't, because I love New York City. I drive through there whenever we go on trips up that way. It's a beautiful city. The Statue of Liberty still makes me tear up when I see it. When I see the island, I pray for it every time I go by. I think God has got his hand. He wants to do something great in that city. I think that I don't know how we got here. That I can't tell you. But I know there's a part of me that agrees with what you're saying, and I get what you're saying, but I don't wish it. I don't wish it. I hope they come to their senses. I do. It's not going to be good for the country. Now, if the Dems want to go arm in arm with this guy, have at it. Because that becomes a national referendum then on the Democrat Party. And if this is the hill that the Dems want to die on, far be it from me to tell this Marxist party, this socialist communist party, what to do. Because I would rather just see that whole party go away. I heard Victor Davis Hanson tonight, who is one of the best historians other than my dear buddy Bill Federer. I think that he said it right. There is no Democrat Party right now. He said, if you had to define a Democrat Party, there's no leader. There's no leadership in it. There is none. It's like a party adrift. So I get what you're saying, and it will be a tough pill to swallow if this guy gets elected. It will. It's not going to be good. But it's a sign of the times, Chris. Sign of the times, buddy. It's a sign of the times. And very sad, Jeannie, you're right. New York City has a huge Jewish population. That is what concerns me tonight, because this guy is extremely anti-Semitic. And Diane, you're right. The people in New York are hard learners. But Diane, my point is what I told Leslie. They just before Ndami, you had Eric Adams, who took over for Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio was an abject communist. And he ran that city into the ground. And that is what's mind-blowing to me, that they would even want to remotely go back to communist rule in New York City. But they do, don't they? 5 more minutes. If you got any comments, I'll take them. Elaine Willard, you said something a while ago, and I meant to read it, and I want to go back to read it. Hang on just a second. Hang on just a second.
Mean and what these.
Hang on just a second. Elaine, you said something a while ago, and I want to go back and read it. It was about the absentee ballot thing, and she says, I have voted by absentee ballot before, and I had to vote before a notary public have the ballot notarized. I mailed it a month ahead of time to be sure that it was on time for voting day. This is how all absentee ballots must be handled. Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And anyway, it's well said. Roger, your question a while ago, and I addressed it, and it wasn't a negative thing, Roger, about what you said about the military helping to clean up D.C. Is it wrong, you're asking? No, not a bit. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not even saying I disagree with it. There's just this part of me that I have had too many conversations with people in law enforcement. And I've had too many conversations. I've watched this happen, and I've talked to Brad Johnson about it. I've talked to James Akers about it. I've talked to Eric Karen about it. I've talked to intelligence people that have served in theaters across this globe in third world countries. It's always how it starts when the military starts getting involved in these law enforcement issues. It's a slippery slope because the wrong people can get in power and they can do the same thing. That's my only point. I'm not even disagreeing that it's wrong. Or it's not wrong. If I was Trump, I would have handled this the same way because I am not going to let my cities delve into lawlessness. I'm just not going to do it. And if these godless mayors and these godless leaders and these godless governors and these godless police chiefs are not going to enforce the law, so be it. As the federal government, I will. Because, see, these citizens are citizens of the United States. Yes, they're citizens of the cities and they're citizens of the states. But if the states and the cities are not going to protect the citizens, I, as the President of the United States, have sworn an oath to protect all citizens from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And he's just upholding his oath. So in that regard, I got no problem with what Trump's doing. All I'm trying to say is it's not the best case. If we had things working normally and right, you wouldn't have to have the National Guard. But we are in a state right now that things are not working right. And that's all I'm saying, buddy. I'm not disagreeing with you that it's right or wrong. Dennis, your question about Musk, I don't have an answer for that. Why can't Musk endorse someone and put up the money to get a viable candidate for New York? That ship has sailed, Dennis. That should have been done last year if he was going to do that. I think that Musk ain't going to do that. He don't care. I mean, it's nothing against Elon. I'm hoping him and Trump can kiss and make up. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Reconcile. I think it's bad for the country that you got two of the most influential men in the nation fighting each other like they do. I think things have calmed down, and I've seen some things that Elon has reposted of President Trump's, and I think whatever happened a few months ago is sort of eased off. And I don't think Musk's money would make a difference. I don't think Musk's money would make a difference. That's just my opinion. That's just a thought, man. That's just a thought. Let's see. Tim Neal. It has been a good show tonight, ain't it? It has been a good show. Been good stuff. We've had a lot of people in the house, too, tonight. We've had, wow, good numbers. Good. You folks over next tonight, y'all have made us proud. Over 100, almost 200 people alone in X. And we appreciate you all being with us tonight. We really do, and we hope you've enjoyed this Monday Night Smack. We thank Leslie Milwee. I tell you, isn't she a doll? Just an absolute good friend. Her and Bill are precious to me, and they were so gracious. I think we were in Kansas City. We went to a conference out there. We did a conference, and they opened their home to me, and I will always be grateful for them. They're such precious couple. And she's like a sister to me, a real sister, and I appreciate her. And she's been through a lot, and she's a patriot, and she's got some wise wise ideas, and we're going to get her back on more often. Tomorrow night's Tuesday. We may have Magdalene Rose with us. We got something we're going to share with you. Magdalene's going to be helping us more, and so forth. And Jennifer Harrison may be back with us this week. We got Sheriff Richard Mack, another Mack. M-A-C-K is why he spells his name. I'll have to don the cowboy hat for this one because he'll be back with us Thursday night. He was with us about 6 or 7 months ago. He did a great job, and we're going to be talking about these illegals. By the way, folks, now I don't know if you heard this or not. You know how Kristi Noem had to, the media doxed her apartment in D.C. She's paying rent on an apartment she can't even live in. They had to move her to a military facility, her and her family, because of the threats from the left. Isn't that just peachy? And I'm not saying that in a good way. That's the violence of the left. Eric Smallwell was out there tonight saying that that they were going to bury any of the opposition to the Dems' push for power under the Capitol. A death threat, basically. How the Democrats get away with this stuff? If we would say something like that on this show about a politician, Secret Service would be at my door tonight, knocking it down, arresting me for making death threats against a federal official. You can't do that. But these Dems, they do it and get away with it. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow night. James Akers will be with me this week. And it's going to be a good week of shows. And we'll, of course, be on radio tomorrow, 223 K-Star Talk Radio. So join us for that. We're grateful you've been with us on this Monday Night Smack. We started a little late. We're coming in from the south today, and it's good to be here, but we do miss our lovely wife. She's down there, and but we're going to be back down there soon, and she'll be up here. So continue to pray for our family. Continue to pray for the Turnage McDonald family. We had a funeral this weekend of my uncle, and we had a funeral of a family friend last week, and 2 weekends in a row we had funerals, and we're praying that this weekend won't be a third. It's just been that kind of summer on us, and we appreciate all the prayers, all the support financially, all the encouragement. Thank you all for being with us tonight. If you enjoyed the show, put some fire in that house, and I'll see you back here in the morning on the Bible study for all our Bible students. And until then, McDonald out on this Monday night, the 18th day of August 2025. We're so grateful for you. Have a good night, everybody, and be blessed out there. Put some fire in that house, and be back with us tomorrow night for another McFiles on a Tuesday night. Magdalene Rose, more than likely, and others.